A kitchen can look absolutely beautiful and still function terribly. And the reason for that pivots on just one thing. And that's the one thing that most people never think about when they're designing their kitchen. You can spend thousands designing a beautiful kitchen and still get the layout completely wrong. The real secret to a great kitchen isn't just how it looks, it's how people move through it every single day. Today, we'll be sharing the floor plans and elevations of our new kitchen design, which I'm really excited about. But before we finalise anything, we're putting one very important part of this design to the test. Because one bad pathway, one cramped corner, or one traffic jam around the fridge can completely change how a kitchen feels to live in. Is that something you can relate to? Is your kitchen a haven or is it a war zone? And here's the twist. The perfect kitchen layout is different for every single family. And that's because every single family's habits in the kitchen are entirely different. So, before we finalise anything, we'll be testing to see if our new kitchen design is going to support our habits in our kitchen. Will our habits make or break our new kitchen design? Welcome to Kohani's Kitchen. As you may have noticed, this is part 3 of a series of videos about designing a kitchen you won't regret. Part 1 identified 4 crucial things to give thought to when designing a kitchen and really pinpointed where you need to start with the whole design process. In part 2, I shared some great tips on how to ensure you get colours right. Colours can be really tricky and can either create or absolutely mess with your ambience and style. And if you haven't voted for your favourite colour for our kitchen cabinets yet, this is probably your last chance to do so. Should we go Calio or should we go berry blue? Which one's your favourite? You can place your vote in the poll in our community posts on Just You Watch Me Fix It. It would be great to get a landslide decision on our kitchen cabinet colours. Stick around because today is not only about sharing with you our floor plans and elevations of our new kitchen design, it's also about sharing a functional test that you can use to make sure you get your kitchen design right. Today just isn't about where kitchen cabinets go. Today is about how your kitchen works in real life. This is our proposed floor plan. And this is what our kitchen looks like right now. So as you can see, one of the major changes is that this back wall will be entirely covered in cabinets. And this will definitely begin to address our current storage problems. Our fridge finally has a home in the kitchen. Yay! We've already purchased a French door fridge because the doors require less swing space into the kitchen floor area and therefore will be easier to access, and because we can put our recipes on the fridge door. How awesome is that? You may also remember this scenario from part 1. We now plan to turn a hutch placed here into a coffee station. This will mean that Philip or myself will be able to access the fridge and make a coffee or set the table without even entering the kitchen space, leaving the cook on the night unimpeded pathways to get the job done. This will give us fantastic freedom in the kitchen on those pizza nights, when a number of people are entering and exiting the kitchen for various different reasons. You may also remember from my love-hate relationship with my kitchen shared in part 1 but the current location of the sink makes it impossible for a second person to wipe up the dishes as you wash. The new design keeps the sink under the kitchen window, which I love, but it is moved a little further to the left, making it possible for two people to stand side by side. This raises a concern for me. I have alarm bells ringing in my head right now. Secret? I'm a little OCD. Will I be able to live with the fact that my tap will not be perfectly centralised in front of my window? This will need further thought. You may also remember from my love-hate relationship list that we currently don't have a range hood over the cooktop. This was a must in our new kitchen. I really wanted to make sure we install a range hood. So because we can't put a range hood up here in front of the window, the cooktop is going to be moved from here to here. Currently the gas line comes into the conservatory in this corner. It travels along this beam here and then down the side of this window, and you can see our kitchen in there, and enters the wall just there. And you can see we've got a repair there that we need to do later in the mud brick wall. Upcoming video on that. So what we're going to do is just turn that gas line, instead of running it along here, take it straight through the beam, and that will enter in this corner here. It will then run along the beam there at the top, pass through that beam, and then head down the back, or head down the wall at the back at this hutch here to the hot plates. And the range hood we plan to duct through the roof where the old flue was for our wood stove originally, so we won't need to cut a new hole in the ceiling there. So that will save some time and effort. Okay, so we've discussed pathways quite a bit in this video already, but there's a really good reason for that. And that is because it's your pathways that will make or break your new kitchen design. Your pathways are the product of your habits in the kitchen, and not just your habits, but the habits of those that live with you. Your partner, your parents, your kids, your pets possibly even. By pathways, I'm referring to traffic flow, how you move around your kitchen. Competing pathways is what you want to avoid. So minimising traffic flow or unnecessary movement in the kitchen is key. Now, if you have a badly designed kitchen, you will instantly know what I'm talking about. If you were redesigning your kitchen right now, what would you change? What would you change based on your habits in your kitchen? Can you think of anything? If so, why not pop them in the comments down below? I'd love to hear what they are and what your thoughts are on this. So let's talk for a moment about minimising movement in our new kitchen. We have kept our workbench in the same spot. I just love the social aspect of this workbench, and it's my go-to zone when making pizza dough or preparing meals every night. I plan to use all the utensils that I use for cooking right here, or I should say directly below here, and my most used electrical appliances in this nearby cupboard. This will minimise how much I need to move around the kitchen when I'm cooking or preparing meals, leaving the sink area and the other workbenches free for someone else to use if need be. Perhaps Philip's hungry and he wants a snack or something. We also plan to locate more power points along the bench under the window and along the back wall. This will ensure that two people will have choices as to where they want to work and set up their workstation. We both love to cook, so we both have to make sure our new kitchen design supports both of our habits. But when we initially got our floor plans back from the kitchen designer, we realised that we may have inadvertently not considered our pathways and created a cramped space around our fridge and the entrance to our future down the track walk-in pantry. Let me explain. When we first designed our floor plan for our new kitchen, we sort of thought we would increase the area in our dining for our rather large dining table by stepping this workbench back a little bit more into the current kitchen space. But the increased depth for the fridge tower to house modern fridges these days, which are quite deep, they're quite a lot bigger than what they used to be. So we had to increase the depth of the fridge tower to accommodate that. And the fridge tower is adjacent to the corner of this workbench. So because of that, and because we'd stepped this workbench back, we were a bit concerned that the area between the two, which was actually the main access to our kitchen, had become a little bit cramped. You know, if someone was at the fridge, could someone walk behind them and enter the kitchen quite comfortably, perhaps even carrying dishes or pots? Also, down the track, we want to create a walk-in pantry right here. So basically where these two French doors are on this cupboard, there'll be a door into a walk-in pantry. This cupboard is actually completely going, and so there won't be any cupboard here. So we'll gain another, say, 500 mil back to the wall, but in that wall right about here will be a door into a walk-in pantry. So what we wanted to make sure was that we hadn't inadvertently or, mistakenly created a cramped pathway from our kitchen into the new pantry here. So to future-proof our new kitchen design, we had to put it through its paces. We put our new kitchen design to a functionality test, and thank goodness we did.
So what I'm doing here is I'm putting a level on the front face of this bench so I can transfer the distance from that wall to this front face of the bench down onto the floor, and then we can measure further.
So our cabinets are coming out from the wall 900 plus 900 plus 18, and because I'm going to put an extra panel in between these two cabinets, it's going to be another 18. So 900 plus 900 plus 18 plus 18 is 1836. Now if we minus the 618 measurement of the current cabinets, that gives us 1218. So we need to measure 1218 along this dotted line now to find out how far the cabinets are going to extend across our kitchen floor. So we'll do that. So 1218. And can you write on that not 1218, but the actual length of the cabinets, which was 1836, honey, please? So it's 1836, yep, awesome. So now if we measure from that mark to the corner of the fridge, we'll see how much room we'll have to move between the bench and the fridge. Can you just mark that on there for me? Do you think we should dot it in with a long edge? Cool, excellent. So we'll have to give some thought to that. I would think that 9:30 is doable, but it's not great.
I think what
Slightly on the cramped side.
what we should do is we should put something perpendicular up there and perpendicular on that corner at that height, and we'll feel what it's like to walk through.
I think that's a great idea. Let's do that. Okay, honey, so do you want to pretend you're standing in our new kitchen and you're walking between the kitchen bench and so the workbench of the kitchen and the corner of the fridge cabinet, and you're heading into the butler's pantry, or what will be the butler's pantry, and just see if it feels natural.
Yeah, I think it feels very natural.
Do you want to do a little ballerina twirl? So you think it's all right?
Yeah, it's fine.
So not too cramped?
No, I don't believe so. I could imagine you walking in with a pot. Perfect.
Okay, I'll hold you accountable. Okay, I think the second thing we need to check is just if someone's standing at the fridge with the door open, can someone get behind them and move in and out of the kitchen? So can you just stand in front of the fridge, or where the fridge will be? Now we've also marked basically where the fridge door will come on the floor. So if I'm walking through here, I can get through, but it's very tight.
Yeah, it's a bit of an issue.
So while it's probably doable, I feel a bit concerned about accessibility with the current floor plan design. And that's due to the fact that we're trying to creep about 300 mil off the dining room to make the dining room bigger. So if we have a look here, we've marked on here measurements where the new cabinet's going to end. So we were saving roughly about 300 mil, which would then open up the dining area that little bit more. So a compromise may be that we don't open up the dining room more, or if we want to open up the dining room, we're going to live with maybe a little bit of cramped accessibility into the kitchen on those occasions when someone's standing at the fridge. So that's something we're going to have to give some thought to and make some decisions around. So what was the upshot of all this? We decided to place a 400 millimetre cabinet between the sink bench and the workbench. We then marked out where the new workbench's footprint would be on the floor to make sure that we had room to move between the kitchen and the built-in pantry and past anyone possibly standing in front of the fridge. Not the kitchen, the fridge. As it turned out, we now have about 1200 millimetres, which is a much wider area for two people to pass through if need be. So we're really, really, really thankful that we did do that functionality test. Welcome back to Kohani's Kitchen. As you may have noticed, this is part 3 of a series of videos about designing a kitchen you won't regret. Blah, 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 blah. Stick around, because today we'll not only be sharing our floor plans. Stick around, because today we won't only be showing. Stick around, because today we won't only be sharing our floor plans and renovations.